microfinance and inclusive finance generally is fairly conservative, there is less innovation on product than we would typically like to see in the space, and that just will no longer be viable. We need better ways to help clients build up their resilience to climate change, because that's ultimately the only way that financial institutions are going to be able to manage their own portfolio risk from climate change, is to help their clients manage their risk and adapt and grow more resilient to climate change.
Yeah.
And for that, we need better products.
I saw you were laughing then when you mentioned about product innovation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't pay Peter to say that, but it was like a perfect segue because, I first of all, he knows, I totally agree with that. We've basically across the inclusive finance sector, we've been offering more or less the same products for 40 years. Part of that, honestly, particularly with the small and medium-sized financial inclusion organizations, is that the technology that they're running on is not very good tech. And it's pretty outdated, which makes it really complicated to do any kind of innovation. But there's also just the reality that, particularly under the commercial lens, there's not a lot of wiggle room for innovation and risk-taking. And so the sector as a whole hasn't driven innovation. So one of the things that we've done to try and address this, and Peter knows about it, is we actually set up a completely separate lab that's focused on research and product innovation, really looking at how do we run small pilots outside the context of the regulated institution that can be more risk-taking, that can be very focused on exactly these kinds of questions of, if we partner with a fintech, for example, that can provide our farmers with better access to information and recommendations about different fertilizers or irrigation techniques that they can use, can we improve the yields significantly enough to offset the cost of that? And so we're running a bunch of different pilots specifically focused on that, but we had to take it outside of the regular operations and really put a different team of people on it to allow that focus to happen. I'm excited to say that we've seen a lot of positive results already. We've only started doing this in the last couple of years. And then the idea, of course, is then once we've tested and proven that those product innovations are actually working, then they get layered back into the microfinance operations.